Hey guys, this is Heavens on Fire XDSV2. So yeah, I'm gonna do something that I'm pumped for football season. I got my fantasy draft done last night. Uh, been watching some preseason football, even though preseason sucks. But you know what? I'm a diehard Giants fan, as you can see with all the Giants stuff back there, and my Ahmad Bradshaw jersey right here. But I'm just gonna go down what I think is gonna happen with the Giants 2010 to 2011 season. Um, First of all, definitely think the Giants are going to be more of a passing team this year. They got, Steve Smith is going to be great. They're going to look at Hakeem Nicks to be a threat. Even Steve Smith says he wants to be a threat downfield, but I've heard the Giants want Hakeem Nicks to be more of a threat because he's more fast of a wide receiver. But I don't even know about Hakeem Nicks. He might get a little stuck up in the head because if you've noticed in that preseason game versus Pittsburgh, he got thrown out because he was throwing some punches. Even though it really wasn't his fault, it shows that if you rile him up, he could be, a guy who can get in trouble. But other than that, I still think the running game is going to be great. Brandon Jacobs is going to be back and healthy. Last year he played a whole season with like a torn meniscus or something like that, and he still ran for 1,000 yards. So he's coming back healthy this year. He can go for maybe a 1,300 yard season probably. And then Bradshaw can hopefully get around 700 yards maybe. He's been doing great. I've been seeing him preseason. He's on fire. He plays with a lot of heart. He's one of my favorite players in the Giants. And even though he's a backup, he still runs like a starter and he still plays like a starter. So I think the running game is also going to be very good, but more importantly, the passing game is gonna be better. Eli is going to, I guarantee, he will pass for another 4,000 yards. You know, he's like very quiet and he can know what to do in situations. Now people say Eli doesn't really know. Well, you know, there are some situations like that. In clutch situations, he's very good, but when they're down and trying to get back, if they've been down the whole game, it's kind of hard for Eli to do that. I've noticed that if the Giants have been losing a whole game by a lot, then they start coming back, then Eli won't do as good. But if they are winning and they lose a lead, then Eli comes out and shines, and that's what I've been noticing lately in Eli. But now we're done with the offense. Let's go with the defense. The defense is going to be a hit or miss this year. But I think the one thing that's going to be the best this year is definitely the defensive line. All right, the Giants have stacked defensive ends. They got OC, Kiwanuka, Tuck, and Pierre Paul. Um, that's more than enough. That's like four. I'd say three starters and one rookie, but Justin Tuck is definitely the best guy in that defense. OC, he didn't get to play as much last year because that stupid Dick Sheridan of a defensive coach. But this year he's got something to prove, so he'll be out firing. The defensive linemen too. The would be also very great. You got Cofield, Kenny, Alford, and who else? Cofield, Kenny, and Rocky Bernard. Rocky Bernard showed some great stuff in the preseason. He was stopping him in. He was stopping running game in the end zone, and it was awesome. But the one thing that's going to be very, very questionable is two things. You got the linebackers and the D backs. Okay, the linebackers. The Giants got a lot of linebackers that don't have much experience. Michael Boley and Clint Sinlam. But with the acquisition of Keith Bullock, you never know what can happen. I think they just signed him for a defensive captain, which is stupid because Tuck should have been the defensive captain. But whatever. If Keith Bullock can play good, then we should be decent because he'll be replacing. He'll be a substitute for Pierce. He'll probably be just as good as Pierce. Boley and Sinham, hopefully they can learn and they can be very decent linebackers. The one thing that's the most important for the Giants this year is definitely the D-backs. You got Raw and you got Kenny Phillips, Corey Webster, and Aaron Ross. That's a pretty good lineup, but they just got to perform. Last year, Kenny Phillips got hurt, Corey Webster got hurt, Aaron Ross got hurt. Their whole secondary was shot. Now they can come back and fire out real good, or it can just be a big blow up. It's gonna be pretty hard. Now let's just go run down through the schedule quickly and see what my thoughts are. First game versus Carolina, at home, I think the Giants are definitely going to win. They're going to have no holds barred on Carolina. They're going to be firing at them for what they did last year. Carolina had nothing to play in the last game of the season. They just whomped on the Giants. You know what? The Giants are going to not hold back. This is the home turf, the opening game of the stadium for the whole NFL. More like so they'll be firing out of them. Versus the Colts at Indy, I gotta say lost there. Peyton Manning very strong. Colts very strong. Super Bowl caliber team versus Tennessee. I'm going to that game at home. I say they win. All they really got, it'll be a good game. It'll be close. But if they stop the run game, then it'll be good. Chicago, I'd say that's a win. Houston, I'd say another win. Detroit, I'd say win. Actually, Houston, I'm just going to say a loss maybe because of Matt Schaub. And Houston's going to be an iffy one because if the secondary is really good with the Giants, then they should beat Houston. If not, then they're screwed because you got Matt Schaub and you got Andre Johnson, two a very big quarterback receiver threat that's very underrated in this league. Andre Johnson's highly looked upon, but Matt Schaub not so much. And last year Schaub was fantastic, so they got to watch out for Houston. They're going to be a big team that's going to that they may think is an easy game, but you know what? They're going to have to play really good in that one. Detroit, I say win. Dallas, I say they win one against Dallas and lose against Dallas. That's what I think for most of them, except for Washington. Seattle, they should beat. Dallas again, I'd say either a win or loss. Philly, they can beat Philly. Jacksonville, they can beat Jacksonville. They can beat Washington. Minnesota, they'll probably lose to Minnesota because Minnesota's got a notorious thing for killing the Giants. And Brett Favre, it's just a mess when they play them. Philly, you know what? I'm gonna say they lose once to Philly because Philly's got such a great defense, but their offense is very lacking with the loss of McNabb, I think. Green Bay, let's just say that's another thing with the passing game. If they have a good passing game against Green Bay, just like Houston, you got Aaron Rodgers, Donald Driver, they're another big thing. Aaron Rodgers is probably I can call Aaron Rodgers will be the best quarterback in the NFL this year because he's shown superb accuracy, superb arm strength, everything. Then Washington again, I'd say probably a win. Because even though Washington may be hyped up, McNabb, it's going to be a little struggle for him trying to get through because you know what? They don't have too many great wide receivers there. I mean, they do have Santonio Holmes. I mean, not Antonio. What the frick is that guy? Santana Moss, but he's washed up. Chris Cooley is also a deep threat at tight end. But you know what? I think they can stop McNabb. They've done it before. The only time they haven't done it is when the defense has been horrible. All right, I remember I went to a game once and they had 12 sacks to get him. OC had 6, and that was the best game because I just love seeing McNabb getting crushed. All right, so that's the long-ass preview of the Giants season. I can't wait. Stay tuned for previews of the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, I know. Kind of weird. I'm a Penguins Giants fan. Pittsburgh Penguins season preview. I'm not going to go through the whole schedule. That's pretty long. And the New York Knicks season preview. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you saw the whole thing, probably not. But thanks for watching.